concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. Very good to be here with you on a Monday evening, and or whatever time it is where you are. But it's a Monday evening for me, and it's very good to be here with you, talking about FPV. Glad I got my overhead camera angle back from yesterday. I can go back to feeling like a professional broadcaster. For a moment, got my mic on a boom arm, and got some lights and stuff. One thing I don't have is raw talent, good looks. I got a voice though. I got an okay radio voice, right? I got an okay radio voice. I don't know. I have to ask Ken Heron. He's a radio guy. How is Ken Heron a radio guy? Because he doesn't really have like a, oh, it's 2700 in the morning. He doesn't have a radio voice, does? I mean, he clearly does have a radio voice because he works in radio. He is a professional morning DJ. Oh, Ken Heron's a morning DJ. He's not a. He's not that guy. He's like, he's that guy. That makes more sense. I mean that with love. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Now, yesterday, Sunday, we got the drop frame counter up here. Sunday, we went the whole live stream with no dropouts. The desire to just hit the stop stream button right now and mess with y'all. No, hopefully that will happen again, and Comcast will, we'll be in good shape. But that way, if we do have any dropouts, if the internet's a little flaky, you can look up here and you can see whether it's just you or whether it's me. So, 'cause sometimes it's you. It's not always me. Sometimes it's you. I have had a busy day. I have had a busy day. I'll tell you, I didn't post a video today because I was working so hard on this other video that I didn't. Is this going to work? Yes. I don't think this is better. I feel like the quality of the... I'll tell you about my busy day in a second. I feel like the quality of the NVIDIA background removal, the way that OBS does the background removal and the NVIDIA, it changed in this version of OBS, and I feel like it's like, what's this line up here? That didn't used to be there. What's that? That didn't used to be there. That's going to bug me. Hang on. That's going to bug me. Let me fix that. There we go. Let's just pull that in slightly. Okay, is that going to fix it? Okay, that's good. That's better. My audio device just switched. What changed about my audio? Oh my god. Yeah, we don't need that. What happened there? Hang on. Set up OBS stream. Is that better? Yeah, no, it's better. Why did that happen? Why did that start playing when I switched to that scene? That's weird. Okay, anyway. Did the sound change? Is it better now? Is it fixed? Okay. But it's fixed now, right? I shouldn't be screwing around on stream. That was weird. I had a busy day because... Let's do this again. Because I was working on this. I was working on the Flywoo Firefly Baby Nano video. That thing is too long. The Flywoo Firefly is too much. Look at this nonsense. I got DVR of HD0 goggles. I set all of them up. Yeah. What do you mean it's doubling my voice? Oh, I see what happened. Okay, thank you guys. Boom. Thank you. Appreciate it. Nope, I got it. Sorry. How about now? Is it better now? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I updated OBS today. I made the mistake of updating OBS today. And some things changed. So now you get to enjoy that. You know what? Let's just effing do this, okay? Let's do this. Why is that even a thing? OBS. Oh my god, OBS. Wait, did you F up everything, OBS? No, thank goodness you didn't. Why is that? That shouldn't even be there. Why is that? No. That should just be muted forever. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, well, let's do this. Let's do the live stream. Enough of this. This is a week opening of the live stream. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. We are going to be taking your questions. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking your questions. We're going to be talking about FPV. Thank you to the patrons over in the Discord server. Yay, patrons, Discord server. And hit the super chat, hit the $, so I can buy a new version of OBS that doesn't have this problem. No, that's a joke. OBS is free. Leave super chats. I'll read your super chats. Let's take questions. There was a new version of OBS like a month ago, and I waited to update because I didn't want to be the guinea pig. Carrie Miller. Let's take a quick. I got to see a question from Carrie Miller. We're going to take that one as our Carrie Miller, our first question. JB, did you see the new GNB 8S high volt 1300 milliamp hour? What KV do you think we should use? Carrie, it's impossible to answer that question because you didn't tell me what prop you're using. So in order to answer the question, what KV should you use? So you've identified correctly one of the three things you need to know to select your motor KV. Well, technically there are four, but I think there are three main ones. And that is, one, you need to know the battery voltage, because battery voltage times KV equals motor RPM. Okay, that's how it works. The motor will attempt to make the RPM of KV times battery voltage. Now, it won't succeed at that because when there is a load on the motor, there's friction, there's air resistance and so forth. The motor doesn't spin to its full no load RPM, but that's the beginning of the equation. But then the next question is, how many RPM do you want? And that's defined in large part by the prop you've got. So, a 2-inch prop. A 2-inch prop with a 2S battery, a round number is 10,000 kV is a good round number. I remember that. Aaron Ciotti told me that once upon a time, and I'm able to remember it because 2 inches, 2S, 10,000, very round numbers. Now, if you take a 10,000 kV motor and a 2S battery and you put a 4-inch prop on it, it's going to be overpropped. It's going to be trying to spin too fast. At some point, the tip of the prop exceeds the speed of sound, and then very bad things happen. So, what KV should we use? Well, another way to approach that question is to say, let's go over here. Another way to approach that question is to say, let's say I've got a 5-inch prop, okay? Now, for a 5-inch prop, a good rule of thumb is that on 6S, you want between 1700 and 1900 kV. Okay? So let's say we would normally fly 1900 kV on 6S with a 5-inch prop. And now we're going to go to 8S because I don't know why you would do that, but okay. What you can do is you can take 8/6 and find the ratio of your new battery voltage to your old battery voltage. Okay? And then, so that's 1.3. So if we would fly with an 1800 kV motor on 6S, divide by 1.33333, we should fly with a 1350 kV motor on 8S to get exactly the same RPM at the prop. We've just gone up in voltage. And you could go the other direction as well. So that's one way to look at it. So you said 1300 milliamp hour 8S. So how many watt hours is that? How big of a battery is that actually? 8S times 3.7 volts times 1300, that is a 38 watt hour battery. So that's a significantly bigger battery than a typical 5-inch battery. A typical 5-inch battery might be something like 22 or 23 watt hours. 38 out of 23. That is a 65% bigger battery than a typical battery. So based on that, I'm going to guess that the weight of your battery, we'll go back here, 65%, let's say a typical 22 watt hour battery for a 5-inch quadcopter is about, say, 180, 190 grams. So let's say, Mike, multiply that by times 190 grams. Your battery is going to be about 300 grams. Since your battery is 300 grams, a rule of thumb is that you can roughly double the weight of the battery to get the dry weight of the quad. That's a very, very rough rule of thumb, but that's a good guideline for sizing a battery. So I'm going to guess that your quad is about 600 grams, your battery is about 300 grams, and that means your quad is in the 900 to 1 kilogram range. I'm going to guess it's a 7-inch cruiser. Okay? So I'm guessing then that you've got 7-inch props. 7-inch props on 6S usually run about 1300 kV. We're going to 8S, so we'll divide by 1.33333. We should be at about 1000 kV, 975 kV. Okay. Now, here's the big question. One of the problems with going to an oddball battery voltage is it's tough to find motors that are the optimal kV. So like if you look at 7-inch motors in the 28 to 30 millimeter size range, they're going to be all tailored for 6S generally. So they're going to be like 1300 or 1700 kV, something like that. And when you put that 8S on there, I mean, you might do better to have something closer to 1000 kV, but all the 1000 kV motors are made for 10-inch props. So you can run into issues like that. But what a lot of people would do is they just run 8S on a 1300 kV motor and just rip balls with more power. That's also one way to do it. Carrie Miller points out that they're high volt. Oh, the high volt throws off my calculation of their size a little bit. High volt batteries. So I'm not a fan of high volt batteries. I think that high volt batteries, you overcharge them to 4.35 volts instead of 4.2 volts. And as a result, you get more milliamp hours out of the same weight. Okay. But it's a little bit of a myth. All those milliamp hours are that very initial voltage sag. And especially when the battery's under load, it will often just sag down. And I don't feel like you get as much improved flight time out of high volt batteries as it seems like you ought to on paper. And I think that their durability is less. So I wouldn't go out of my way to buy high volts in general. Should storage be, what's storage for a high volt? In my humble opinion, high volt battery, I would storage it at 3.8, just like a regular LiPo. In my humble opinion, the only difference with a high volt is that it's safe to charge to 4.35. The bottom and the storage, I think, is the same. I could be wrong, but that's what I do. Couldn't you just reduce the motor output limit on a 1300 kV motor? Yeah, absolutely. Reduce the motor output limit to, 6 out of 8, whatever that is. Reduce it by that %. At which point, why are you running 8S? Why don't you run in 6S? I don't know. Maybe there's a reason. But, yeah. If you undercharge a high volt, well, then you're going to just basically have a LiPo that you paid extra for, which that's silly. Don't do that. Also, wow. Oh, good point. Joseph Dahari. If you've got an 8S rated ESC and you put an 8S high volt on there, what are you sure it's rated for that voltage? You're really at a risk of blowing your ESC. Be careful. Be careful. I'm not sure I would risk that. All right. Great. That is a great opening topic. That was a fantastic question and a great discussion. And it really offset the incredibly weak opening of this live stream, for which I should be ashamed. And I am ashamed. Now, Uber Nerno asks, what about 1S batteries? Ah, now that's a different story. That's a different story. On 1S batteries, like tiny whoop batteries, you must overcharge them because you just need all the flight time you can get out of those tiny things. Just thrash them, ride them hard, put them to bed wet, and when they break their leg, send them off to the dog food factory, if you will, metaphorically. Tiny whoop batteries are in some ways sort of semi-disposable. Sure, they would last longer if you only charged them with 4.2 volts, and your flights would be short and boring. Just, you're going to overcharge all of them. 1S tiny whoop batteries, you need them. But by the time you're up in the range of an 850 or 1000 milliamp hour, yes, you will get excuse me, you will get longer flight times if you overcharge. Simple physics. But I don't think you really have to need that extra 10 or 15% flight time to overcharge. Like racers. Racers are known for overcharging packs. When they're trying to qualify, a racer who has to get whatever 4 laps in 2 minutes or 6 laps in 2 minutes, they absolutely need, and they're finishing the qualifying laps with their battery sagging out 3.1, 3.0, 2.8, barely making it across the finish line. Those racers are so on the edge that they do need that tiny bit of extra performance that you get by overcharging. And that's why racers are known for overcharging, even regular lipos. Sometimes excessively overcharging to dramatic, fiery results. But for a typical person, I mean, I think what happens is people see, oh my goodness, this is a 1200 milliamp hours 6S and it only weighs 140 grams. Amazing. Physics has been defeated. And it's not true. It's just marketing. The milliamp hours of a high volt are misleading, and I don't think you actually get the kind of performance. You're not going to get the same performance out of a 1200 milliamp hour high volt that weighs 140 grams and a 1200 milliamp hour regular battery that weighs 190 grams. You're not, those milliamp hours are not the same. Because some of those milliamp hours are the very initial voltage at the top of the battery. You know how your battery goes 4.2, 4.1, 4.0, 3.9, 3.85 holding, and then it plateaus. When you overcharge to 4.35, you get a little bit longer bump there at the beginning, but it's not in real use. I don't think it's that much of a difference. Oh, okay. How many people have a sub 700 gram 5-inch on 6S? I do. I weighed them yesterday on stream. Woohoo! There you go. In case you're wondering. Thank you, Pure Stench, for the kind words. Thank you for being my go-to guide for anything and everything drone related. That's what we should do this stream, is I should just read nice things that people say about me. I like it. That's not what we're going to do. What's a good landing voltage for 1S? What's a good landing voltage for 1S? 3.0 volts. Obviously, I assume you're talking about like 1S 300 milliamp hour whoop packs up to like 1S 450 or 550 milliamp hour little packs for a toothpick. Anything down in the 300 to 450 milliamp hour 1S range, you have to, first of all, to get any kind of decent flight time out of it, you pretty much have to overcharge it, assuming, and that's why like all of those batteries are HV rated. And then you pretty much have to fly them down as close to 3.0 as you can get them. And then just because they sag so much. So with a larger pack on like a 5-inch, I would fly it down to, I might start thinking about landing between 4.5 and 4.6 volts. And if I was really having a good time and careful, I might take it down as low as 3.4. 3.4. Did I say 4.4? I'm not sure if I misspoke there. So I might fly it as low as 3.4. But the thing is, on a 5-inch quadcopter with like a normal 5-inch sized pack, by the time you're at 3.4 volts, if you start punching the throttle, it'll dip and you're really at risk of going below 3.0 volts. But something about the being at 3.5 or 3.6 volts, it seems less saggy. I don't know why. At the very beginning of a LiPo, it's fully charged, you have high voltage, and it quickly drops off. And then you've got this long plateau where it's relatively stable. If you hit the throttle, it'll sag a little, but then it'll bounce back quickly. And then at the end, if you like even touch the throttle, it just craters, right? And for me, that crater point is somewhere between 3.4 or 3.5 volts. Now that's for a larger 5-inch pack. For a 1S tiny whoop sized pack, for the first thing I notice about it is that it sags a lot the minute you hit the throttle. So a 1S tiny whoop pack might go 4.35, and then as soon as you take off, boom, 4.0, 3.9, 3.8, and then it'll coast there and keep going down and keep going down. And if you stop at 3.5 or 3.6 volts, you'll get like a 1 minute, 1.5 minute flight. Who wants that? But if you keep going, 3.6, 3.5, 4, 3, 2, 3.1, and then stop, here's the thing. I think that the tiny whoop packs, because they sag so much to begin with, by the time you get them down to 3.0, 3.2 volts, they don't sag any more than they did when they were at 3.5 or 3.6. Does that make sense? I don't know. It seems that way. So for the tiny whoops, I run them all the way down as low, 3.1 basically. For 5-inch packs, I wouldn't do that. Okay. What does it mean when they only charge to 4.08 race day quad batteries, 450 milliamp hour? I have no idea what you're talking about. What do you mean they only charge to 4.08? That doesn't make that's not adding up to me. That doesn't seem right. Okay. What do you overcharge a 4.35 volt 1S battery to? 4.35 volts? You charge it to 4.35. Sour Sham says, I put the batteries on charge and that's when they're ready. No. Is your charger stopping the charge cycle before 4.2 volts? Sour Sham? So here's what I would guess, Sour Sham, but I can't say for sure. Some chargers have a time limit or a milliamp hour limit where it will stop the charge cycle after so many minutes or so many milliamp hours. Well, even if the pack isn't fully charged. That's my guess as to why it's stopping. So check those settings. Yeah. JR Bosch has a question. JR Bosch, thank you for being a patron. JR Bosch asking this question in the Discord server. One of my Hoda D6 Pro chargers, a channel went out or something happened where it won't charge or discharge on channel 2. Is it safe to use channel 1? Is there a fix for channel 2? JR Bosch, I would guess that it's safe to use channel 1. I had a charger that did that. It blew, one of the channels just stopped working. And I gave it to a friend of mine. I was like, yeah, here. And he opened it up and found that there was a blown fuse. And he replaced the fuse. It was a little surface mount fuse. I mean, I'm not saying this would be trivial to do. It's possible it could be repaired, but of course you'd have to open it up and find out what broke. And that's not something a lot of people could just do. Yep. Interesting. Yeah. Take a look at this graph. This is a battery discharge graph. Hold on, let me turn my face camera off. What you see here is that at low discharge rates, there's this sort of long plateau where voltage stays high, followed by a sudden crater, okay? And at high discharge rates, the voltage drops and then sort of descends more linearly. And that's what I think is going on with 1S tiny whoop packs. Okay? There's no surprise at the end of a 1S tiny whoop pack. If this was you, if you have a low discharge rate, you'll be here and you'll be thinking you're fine, and then suddenly, boom, your voltage just craters. So you stop like here because you don't want to risk going over that cliff. But if you're doing a high discharge, you get shorter flight time overall, but it's more linear and more predictable when you're going to be dead. It's interesting. That's a good graph. Thank you very much, Black Jungle, for sharing that graph. Let's answer some super chats, okay? We've gotten a bunch of super chats, and I certainly don't want to go too long without answering them. How do you... What's going on here? Why are you being like this? It won't go up or down. Great, it's screwy. It's screwed up. I got one from Saint... Dang it. Hold on. I want to be able to read this person's name. Monetization. I have to look it up. I'm having a problem with my super chat window over here. Let's see here. Saint Kenny. I got one here from Saint Kenny. Thank you for a $2 super chat. Kenny, how do you program an arm and disarm in F modes on the TX16S? And flight modes. Okay. Kenny, I will refer you to this video, $120 drone setup aux modes. This video, now this is a little bit dated. It's from 2 years ago. Wow. Should probably update that. It's a really good, concise video about how to set up flight modes. Let me see if I can find you a newer one. The reason I don't link to the beginner build more often is because it doesn't have all the parts broken out into separate videos the way this one does, and it's easier to link to. Let me look for this, though. Configuration and setup. Let's look for a... load beta flight presets, set up aux switches and modes. There we go. That's what we want. Okay, so Kenny, Saint Kenny. Here's the reference for you, my friend. This is how you set it up. That is how you set up arming and disarming in flight modes. I'm going to refer you to that video. It goes into plenty of detail on that topic. In this video, we are using the Radio Master Zorro, but any OpenTX radio is going to have similar menus. It's just going to be cosmetically different, but the actual functions are all there. So I hope that helps you out. Ghost Branch FPV, thank you for a €10 super chat. I love getting euros. Let's talk about the secret Discord plans. So for people who are confused, the secret Discord plan is that Discord has opened up the ability to have forums. Let me show you, in case some of you guys may not know what I'm talking about here. Let's go to I think the ExpressLRS community has it. Yeah, so normally Discord looks like this. It's just a chat log, and the problem is that getting help is really tricky because your conversation just gets lost, right? And you can create threads, but it's a little cumbersome. So Discord just rolled out the ability to do forums, like literal forums and posts. Oh, RC groups all over again. The problem is that in order to enable forums on your server, you have to make your server a quote-unquote community server. And a community server requires that everybody on the server have a validated email address, which not everybody does. So we've got to figure out whether people are going to be okay with giving up an email address or not. I don't know how people will feel about that, but hopefully they'll be okay with it. We'll see. But that's the, I don't think we're going to talk about that here on the stream. We should talk about it like on the server, but I do appreciate, I'm excited to do it because I think it's going to be much more helpful. And a lot of people here aren't on the server, and so I kind of don't want to waste your time talking about it. It is pretty cool, though. Community forum posts are pretty cool. Quad City Bay Area, thank you for a $5 super chat. How can the DJI OSD know the time for battery power and others can't? Quad City Bay Area, the reason... So first of all, the DJI OSD time is not perfectly accurate, right? Obviously, you know that. If you start hitting a headwind, the time will drop. Lots and lots of stories of people who had 20 minutes of flight time and then started coming home and suddenly it was 8 minutes and they crashed in the ocean because they had a headwind. DJI is just estimating remaining flight time based on current battery draw and milliamp hours expected from the battery. Now, here's the thing. iNav can do that. Absolutely. ArduPilot can do that. Betaflight doesn't do that because that is mostly an autonomous flight thing where you need to know, like, can you get your airplane home or not? Or is it going to crash in a field somewhere? If you're doing racing or freestyle, minutes left of flight, I mean, you're just going to fly till the battery's dead and then come back and put a new one on. But what makes DJI better is that the DJI batteries are 100% controlled by DJI. So DJI knows with a very tight margin exactly how much power they can expect to pull from the batteries. And so DJI's calculations for remaining flight time are a little more accurate than something like iNav, ArduPilot, or Betaflight would give, but it's not like that's exclusive to DJI. But don't let DJI fool you. They don't know the exact time. That's like when I start downloading a file and it says 10 minutes to go. And then my internet slows down and it says 2 hours to go. And then my internet speeds up and it says 3 minutes to go. They're just doing a little math and the math can be wrong. Press FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. I have the Nazgul XL5, 2 of them. Chris Rosser says you need to change the large antenna out the back. What would you recommend? I would, let's look at the Nazgul. Let's look at it. Nazgul XL5. Where's this big old honking antenna hanging off the back? Yeah, that's a good picture. Nazgul XL5. Can we really? Okay, that's the best picture the world has to offer us. Really? That's pathetic. Has this got a picture of the antenna? Yeah, okay, that's a great picture. Give me that one. There we go. Can I open a new tab? God dang it. Enable right click, you son of a... I hate this. This infuriates me. This infuriates me. This infuriates me more than almost anything else. That I can't right click and open the flippin'. Look, I can inspect element. I can go to sources. Where is it? Where's sources? Where's sources? Where is sources? Oh my God, have I forgotten how to do this? Where's... Oh, what? Where'd the sources go? What have I... Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you, Black Jungle. Killing me here. Thank you, Black Jungle. So what Chris Rosser is talking about is that having a big antenna hanging off the back like this can cause resonance at certain frequencies. Okay? Okay? Can you copy image URL? No, they got rid of that. They got rid of all of the useful effing right clicks. And now I don't even see sources here like I used to. Elements? No. All right, anyway. Chris is right. It creates resonance. Do you care? Lots of people fly like this and have no problems. But if you want the absolute best gyro data, then you should have a stubby antenna. It's a trade-off, though, because you'll get less range. I personally, it's definitely, there definitely are people out there who've had problems with like mid-throttle oscillations and then going to a stubby antenna fixed it. So, but a lot of people would think that that's more trouble than it's worth, and they like the increased range. Okay? So I wouldn't disagree with him, but I also wouldn't absolutely 100% always insist on a stubby antenna. Mad Max FPV says, I use cable ties and hot glue with a long antenna. It's fine. Well, I'm going to guess, Mad Max, that you're not PID tuning to the level that Chris Rosser is. So, you know, it just depends on what you're going for. Okay. Jeremy Pierce Sunia, thank you for a $2 super chat. Loved your old school outro music. Yeah, that was good music. I got rid of those outros though. I became convinced that the end screens, so here with like the music and I would put cards on screen, and my thinking was, let's put some cards on screen. Who knows, if they're watching at the end of the video, maybe they'll click them. And then I became convinced that the right thing to do with the end screen was to put an explicit call to action to say, hey, thanks for watching that video. Here's another one I thought you'd like. And some of this was other YouTubers that I watch, bigger YouTubers who were doing it. And that's that. I switched up my end screen to be a more explicit. I tried to put some funny stuff in, you know, entertaining stuff, but no music. And later I became convinced that the right thing to do was to segue out of the video into another video. So my current philosophy is that the best way, one of the things YouTube cares about is session time. So if somebody is watching 5 of your videos in a row, that's good. And if somebody watches one of your videos and then leaves and watches a different channel, they're going to see fewer recommendations for your channel. Okay? So, and also you just want people to keep watching your content so you get more views. So the way that I end my videos now is not with, all right, happy flying, everybody. Cut to end cards. Hey, thanks for watching that video. Now, if you want something else to watch, here's this, and also subscribe, and also Patreon. No. What I do now is, the most important thing is that you do not telegraph the end of the video. You don't go, anyway, that's the such and such a quad, because people are like, okay, he's done, I'm out. What you do is, you say, now, there's one more thing that I think you might want to know if you were interested in the iFlight Nazgul 5. And it's this other video that I've got, card pops on screen. It's a seamless transition to the next video without telegraphing that the video is over and presenting the next video as and it's sleazy marketing stuff, manipulating your psychology. Yes, I acknowledge that. But also, it's in some ways, it's better because if I just say, hey, everybody, subscribe at the end of a video, there's nothing to that. But if I think, when they're done with this video, what's the next video that I think they would like to see? And I make a suggestion, then maybe that's a better video for you. So that's why the music is gone. Hey, Phantom FPV, very, very good. Very good to see you, my friend. Yeah, like here is a retention graph from Ubernero in my Discord. This is a retention graph, and you can see right here is where he starts the outro. Right here. Good retention. This is actually spectacular retention. This is actually spectacular retention. I don't know what video this was. This is crazy good. So he's at over 50% at the 30-second mark. He's well over 50% at the 30-second mark. That's excellent. And then instead of just slowly dropping off over the course of the video, he holds through almost the whole video. That's shockingly good retention. And then here's where he went, alrighty guys, that's the such and such a 3D printer. That's it, they're gone. They're like, okay, there's no more content here. So what I have learned as a YouTuber is don't do that. Every moment of a video has to be presenting value for people and holding their interest. Anyway. And then if they don't click to that, then YouTube will make another recommendation. So. Anyway. Joseph Orndroff, thank you for a $5 super chat. What would cause sudden overheat warning, then 0 volts on OSD and RXBAT? Pro-built Babito happened just after plug-in and ARM. Anything I can check? I mean, if it's a pro-built Babito that was built by Rotor Riot, then you need to ask them. And I'm not trying to blow you off, but I firmly believe that when vendors charge extra money for a pro-built bind and fly, built and tune, custom made, blah, 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 I feel bad when people who spent the extra money then are like, oh, I don't know, it doesn't work. I guess I'll ask Bardwell. No, the vendor should help you. They need to support you. That's what you paid them for. And on some level, I want to help you, but on some level, I want you to keep them honest and if they and not let them get away with. And I'm not suggesting that they like are trying to take advantage of you. I'm just saying everybody assumes that if your quad breaks, then there's nothing you can do about it and you're screwed. And stores like Rotor Riot and other stores that are selling these quads deserve the opportunity to help you. Okay? But what would cause this? What would cause this? 0 volts on OSD and RX loss. I mean, your flight controller's effed up, I guess. Just after you plug in. Does it happen if you don't arm? Does it happen if you don't arm? 0 volts, I mean, clearly you're not at 0 volts. If the thing is alive at all, you're not at 0 volts. If it was built by Rotor Riot, they need the opportunity to make it right. That's what I would say. We got a great question here. Who's it from? Hang on. We got a great question here. From... Who's it by? I just saw it going by. Can you give any suggestions on setting up pre-arm? Yeah, absolutely. D-Sonic wants to know about pre-arm. D-Sonic, it's really not that complicated to set up pre-arm. Let's see how complicated I can make it sound. So here's how pre-arm works in Betaflight. In the modes tab, we've got the arm mode and we've got the pre-arm mode. Okay. In fact, let me do this. Hang on. Let me do this with an actual quadcopter so I can demonstrate it for you. Hold on. All right. Let's plug in an actual quadcopter. The receiver lights up on these Firefly quads from USB so I can... Oh, got to power my controller on real quick. Are we live? Are we alive? We gotta... Okay. Hello? There we go. Okay, so we've got ARM, and then we've got pre-ARM. Where's pre-ARM? Hello? Oh, here we go. Okay. So I'm going to hit add range for pre-ARM as well. I'm going to save that real quick, and I'm going to hide unused modes. Okay? So then I'm going to go into the motors tab and say I understand the risks, and that will let me actually arm the quad. So if I go to the modes tab now, if I try to arm the quad, arm is disabled. I wish they would show you the arming prevention right here, but they don't. Arm is disabled. And if I go to the setup tab, the reason arm is disabled is no pre-arm. So I cannot arm the quad until the pre-arm mode becomes activated. So I'm going to do that with, how about I do that with aux2. Ignore the fact that aux2 is also used for angle mode and flip crash mode. That's not the point. And I'm going to say that when aux2 is in the down position, then pre-arm is activated, okay? Okay. Oh, that sucks because it's flip crash. Dang it. Okay, how about the middle? But the up position. There we go. Fine. Okay, so right now, pre-arm is not activated. I cannot arm the quad. Okay? But if I flip this switch so that pre-arm is activated, then I can arm the quad. Now notice that it only armed one time though. So let me pre-arm off, pre-arm on, arm the quad. Okay? Disarm. Now I cannot arm again until I cycle the pre-arm switch. Okay? Now a lot of people will put pre-arm on their momentary switch. So we'll put it on aux3. All right? And what that'll do is, I'll move it over here. What they'll do is they'll pull the momentary switch, okay? Then while pulling the momentary switch, they'll flip the arm switch and release the momentary switch, which releases the pre-arm condition. Then when they disarm, pre-arm, they don't have to manually cycle that pre-arm switch back again. So, that is a short, live stream appropriate version of how to set up the pre-arm mode. I hope that's helpful. Nick Sebring wants to know, if you arm with the throttle at midpoint and then lower the throttle, will the quadcopter become armed? I know that KISS does that. I don't know about Betaflight. I don't think so. Let's look. Did we catch it in time? Are we... Hello? We connected? Yeah, we are. So let's see what happens if we raise the throttle. Oh, I got to go to the motors tab and enable I understand the risks again. We go to the modes tab. If we raise the throttle and then try to arm, it will not arm. If we then lower the throttle, it does not arm until we cycle the arm switch one time. Yep, that's not how KISS does it. On KISS, I believe it arms immediately, but not Betaflight. At least it did when I was last flew a KISS quad. It's been a while, so maybe that's changed. We got a question here from Jason Aviator. And of course, I'm not caught up on my super chats yet, but of course I'm going to take this question from Jason Aviator because he is a patron. And patrons need to feel special. What is the likely cause for the uncommanded death roll? Condor in-flight malfunction analysis. Let's have a look. Let's see here. He's given us a timestamp. I'm going to back up slightly, and I'm going to make sure you guys can hear the audio as well. Yeah. Too loud. Hang on. I mean, clearly something's going on. Like, it don't sound great. It don't sound great. What causes uncommanded roll? Sounds okay here. Let's listen to the motors here earlier. Sounds okay. It's pretty wobbly, but I mean, it's a. What quad is it? What quad is it? What quad is it? Is it a? It looks like a Zing motor. What quad is it? Details of the flight. Condor. It's an XL10. Okay. I don't know that one. I'm just listening to the motors to see if anything comes out. Condor is his nickname. Sorry about that. I thought Condor was the quad. It's an iFlight, isn't it? I think I see the Zing logo there. It's an iFlight XL10. Okay, got it. Okay, so right here is the first time I see something that clearly indicates a problem. So as you raise the throttle, the props spin up and we get a vibration, and probably related to a motor RPM. Let's watch it again. Right here. There's a little jiggle there at a specific throttle position, and that concerns me. Didn't seem to cause any problems, though. Where'd my audio go? There we go. Going up in throttle. Oh, okay. What was that? Wait, what was that beep? That beep is extremely important. Let's go back. I'm going to watch up here so I can see what the quad is doing in the FPV view. Okay, so it's jerking around. Just one beep. That's kind of weird. Not a lot of things make just one beep. So he's pitching back and it shudders and shakes and twitches and falls out. So my first thought is that's something wrong with the motor. Is that a low voltage beeper on your battery? Now the quad's freaking out. Is that? No, it's freaking out. Nah, you're done. Yeah, you got it might be a loose prop. I don't think so. Because I don't hear the squeaking sound a loose prop would be. I feel like you've got a bad motor or ESC. Mighty Brave flying it back. And it gave up. Yeah, so like you could have lost a FET. ZFPV, that's a good guess. You could have lost a FET. It happened at high throttle. That first twitch when you raised throttle and it sort of fell out, that's where things started going wrong. Yeah, the high throttle, Phantom, I agree with you. That high throttle pump when you were trying to climb out and maybe do a back a power loop or something, I feel like that was the ESC said, nope, I'm done, or the motor maybe, but more likely to be the ESC. It's just, that's just a coin toss. So why did it happen? That's a much harder question to answer, unfortunately. Nick Sebring has cued in on the twitch. It could be a loose flight controller. That's possible. A loose flight controller would cause twitches like that. The way it jerked, though, to me feels like a motor, but I don't know. The ZFPV says if the ESC had individual high and low side FETs, he could have lost one and not the other and still sort of mostly been flying. It's valid. One Eye FPV. One Eye says, what does it mean when you see a bunch of asterisks in the Betaflight warning field in the middle of a flight? That's the beeper. So that's the visual beeper. It could be a failsafe. It could be a micro failsafe. That is a thing that can cause that. Other things can also cause it. But a sudden, very brief beep, it could be a micro failsafe. That is possible. Because it'll beep when it starts to failsafe. Okay. Continuing with the super chats. Oh my God, I'm so far behind on the super chats. Timbo Slice, thank you for a $10 super chat. I'm only 15, 20 minutes behind. That's not that bad. Timbo Slice, thank you for a $10 super chat. Thank you for your generosity, sir. I have a SpeedyBee V3 F405 version. Put like 10 or so packs through it. And after swapping packs one time, it decided to reverse the motors. Have you ever seen this before? No. I mean, not like I've never in the world heard of that happening. That is extremely concerning. I don't want my ESC to ever be doing that. I would probably set it right and cross my fingers. But man, you hear stories of people who say, yep, I picked the quad up and then all of a sudden the motors went full throttle and chopped off my finger. An ESC should never spin the motors when it's not being commanded to. Now, yours didn't. Yours didn't spin the motors, which is why it gets to live to fly another day. If I have an ESC that ever just goes, wah! Take it out back behind the barn and get rid of it. That's unsafe. Reversing the motors, I don't know why. I probably would give it another chance and see if it ever happens again, but that would, I agree, that's weird. Yeah. Jason Aviator, hold on a second. Jason, here's what you need to do, man. Jason must have appreciated my answer. He's asking how to increase his Patreon pledge. I couldn't let that slide. We got a question here from Mike Glider. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Mike, I have issues with my Immersion RC Ghost V2 Hybrid Duo not changing the VTX channel. SpeedyBee F7 V3, yellow to VTX, green to TX, receiver works and camera 2 just won't change. Mike, how are you trying to change the channel? Because the hybrid, by default, the Ghost Hybrid doesn't work with flight controller, the flight controller smart audio menu. So, for example, oh wait, this quad is perfect to do this with. Check it out. For example, if you go into Betaflight and you go to the video transmitter tab and you change the band and channel here, that is the flight controller talking to the VTX saying change your band and channel. That's smart audio. Or in this case, it's Immersion RC Tramp Protocol, but everybody just says smart audio. And then Tony Cake from Immersion RC winces every time it happens. Or something like that. If you go into your on-screen display and you go to the VTX menu and you change your band or channel, that's the flight controller talking to the video transmitter. That's smart audio. But with Immersion RC Ghost Hybrid, the video transmitter and the receiver are built into one unit, and by default, they talk to each other, but they don't talk to the flight controller. So these things that I just showed you, the video transmitter tab, the Betaflight VTX menu, all don't work with the Ghost Hybrid by default. Instead, what they want you to do is in the Ghost module, go into the video transmitter menu and change that stuff from your Ghost module on the back of your radio. Like literally, you go into the menu. Well, I don't have my Ghost module in the radio at the moment, but you literally go in there and you change it that way. Now, there's some advantages to that. Like, for example, I can go into my Ghost module for my racing quads, and I can set a band and channel. Well, it's always race band, obviously, because they're racing. But I can set the channel in the module before I plug the quad in. And every Ghost quad that I plug in will take the band and channel from the module. As it powers up, it will always power up on the right channel. That's kind of cool. Now, if we look at the pinout diagram for a Ghost Hybrid, I believe we will see the solution to this problem. So that explains why it's not working. My guess is that you're doing it through Betaflight and not doing it through the Ghost module. By the way, if you have an Express LRS VTX backpack, that's exactly the same functionality. Similar, anyway. Where's the manual? User manuals. Ghost user manual v2.5. That sounds good. When did Chrome start downloading like that? That's different than it used to be. So let's find a hybrid. Hybrid V1. I think we're talking about the hybrid V2. Shut up, Adobe. I'm not talking to you. So I am 99% sure that this telemetry wire is used to hook the VTX up to the flight controller to allow control via tramp telemetry instead of directly from the Ghost system. So then if you were to solder this to UART-TX on your flight controller, and then in the ports tab, you were to set that UART to tramp telemetry. Can't see it because it's behind my head. Tramp telemetry. Then you could do the things you're asking about. That's what I think. Okay. Hopefully that is what the information that you needed. Sergio Alberti, thank you for 5 Canadian dollars. I'm assembling an iFlight SuxXD F7 with 1400 kV motors with 12 elements and a TX16S. Why do my motors go crazy and go to max RPM on the motors tab? Sergio, not Sergio, Sergio, right? It's completely normal that when you arm the quadcopter, and especially if the props are off, that the motors will spin up and increase in speed. It's completely normal. I have a video about it. Sergio, this is the video that describes it in more detail. Sergio Alberti. But suffice it to say, it is normal for that to happen. When the props are off, the quadcopter tries to fly itself and it can't. And so it gets a little confused. That's the short version. Ciati, good to see you here, man. Nice to see you tonight. Jason, thank you for a $5 super chat. I fly every day, and after I fly, I'll charge my LiPos to 3.8 volts. Then I'll charge them to 4.2 volts sometimes the next day before flying. Is that excessive? Jason, only you can say how much your time is worth. You are not cycling them any more than you would have, and the less time they spend at low voltage, the better. So I would say that you are prolonging their life by some small amount. Probably not much. But if you get home and immediately take them from 3.5 or 3.6 up to 3.8, and then tomorrow you take them from 3.8 to 4.2, I mean, you're putting a little more wear on the XT60, I guess. But I think that's not worse for the battery. I feel pretty confident about that. Hashinui wants to know, what is the best and cheapest choice for analog goggle, for FPV goggle to use with the walk-snail receiver? That's very, very hard to answer now because you don't know. No one knows because no one's tested it. I mean, someone inside walk-snail has tested it. No one knows what the experience is like of getting 720p video on an 800 by 600 screen or something. No one knows for sure. And so the cheapest choice, I mean, I think the SkyZone Cobra X has an HDMI input and it's a box goggle. So there you go. $250. Hunter Z. I don't think that should be possible. I don't think that should be possible. Hunter Z says, hello, I accidentally armed 2 Express LRS quads without noticing yesterday. I forgot to unplug one and was ready to fly the other. Both of them armed and were being controlled. One was heavy, so it didn't manage to take off. Okay, so first of all, this totally will work with older protocols like FreeSky RxSR. If you turn on multiple quadcopters that are all bound to the same module, they will all fly and be controlled at the same time. And of course, all of them will crash except for the one you're actually flying. Like, don't think that there's some secret here. But I don't think Express LRS should work that way. It doesn't seem like it should be possible. Like they... Wesley Vardy says it 100% works. Wesley, I thought that they would like, you know, bind or talk to the first receiver it detected and not the second. Oh my god, everyone's telling me that it works. I'm shocked. I knew that older protocols worked that way. I'm shocked that Express LRS works that way. But that, I mean, when Wesley Vardy says it works that way, then it must work. Let's try it. Let's try it. That's a 1S. These are 2S. Okay. These are 2S. All right. Got our little walk snail avatars here. Or not our walk snail avatars. We got our little Flywoo Nano babies here. So, I mean, I believe you if he says it's going to work, but I want to know. Okay, radio is on. Okay, we got 3 of these guys. We're going to plug the first. All of these are bound to my controller. Let's put the battery in the other way. All right. We got number 1. Okay. Where should I put it? Put it right here. Number 1. Okay. It's connected. We got number 2. How does the telemetry work? I guess only the first one has telemetry? Like, I'm really at a loss here. Number 2. Let's space them out a little bit. This is, I'm glad these quads are so small. This is a bad idea. This is a mistake. For you, for the live stream, I will do it. Okay. So they're all on. What does the Express LRS receiver say? We got solid light. Solid light. Solid light. Uh-oh. Solid light. Okay. Moment of truth. We're going to arm. Here we go. They all arm. Oh my god. Oh my god. Nope. See, that's it. It's over. Dare I throttle up? What if we put him in auto level mode? Oh, this is a disaster. That's not that bad. Let's try it in auto level mode. Here we go. Okay, angle mode. Okay. Well, I guess it works. Well, I know what my next video is going to be. Oh, now, it's a good thing that I am indoors, because if I were in the national airspace, the FAA would say that what I did was not allowed. It's not, one pilot can't control multiple aircraft without a waiver. So that's legal. Okay, I'm surprised. Somebody tell me why ExpressLRS works that way. I really thought that ExpressLRS wouldn't work that way. That it would like link to the very first one and then not the subsequent ones. I know, but Wesley Vardy says it's the bind phrase. I know, but I mean, the bind phrase, I know what you're saying. Wesley, you're saying that the bind phrase is translated into like a layer 2 address that is basically, there's no distinction at that point, aren't you? If I turned on model match, model match is the answer. Model match is the answer, isn't it? That's the answer. Model match would fix this. How does the telemetry work, Wesley? The telemetry's got to not work, right? Why is model match not the answer? Model match is the answer. You're wrong. You're wrong. Model match is the answer. Guarantee. Hang on. It doesn't. Telemetry doesn't work. He says scroll back the chat. I can't scroll back the chat. Got a lot going on here. So, no, not that. Let's get get on the Wi-Fi, my friend. I guess get this guy on the Wi-Fi. It's going to take a minute to get on the Wi-Fi. Well, let's go to the web page. I think model match fixes it. Because model match would mean I could only have, I would need to give each of them a unique model ID. Hello. Are we failed over yet? Can we fail over, please? To Wi-Fi? There we go. We did it. Okay. Now, why haven't you popped up here? There we go. Thank you. Oh, love it. Jumping on my Wi-Fi. This is my favorite thing the ExpressLRS devs have ever done, is the ability to manage my receiver by Wi-Fi. So if I believe that if I go to model and enable model match, and then assign model ID number 1 to one quad, 2 to the next, and 3 to the next, then they cannot possibly all be bound and arm at the same time. Now, unfortunately, I would also need to create 3 separate models inside inside my radio, which would be annoying as crap, and I would bother me, but it would work. Okay. So Wesley Vardy says the transmitter will be getting spammed with 3 sets of telemetry streams, and that'll be bad. So if you're going to do this, telemetry should be off. This sounds like a hoot and a holler. What if you had a contest? Who can keep 3 drones in the air the longest? Right? Yeah. All right. Well, I didn't expect that to work like that, and I am edumacated. So that's good. And by the way, that also means that if someone else knows your bind phrase and like they turn their radio on, oh no, hang on, Wes. Might be what I'm thinking of. What if there are two controllers? What if there are two controllers, Wes, with the same bind phrase? Rotor Riot did this a couple of years ago, says Crimson Wolf. I know, I was there. What if there's two controllers with the same bind phrase turned on at the same time? What does the receiver do? What happens then? That can't work, can it? There's no way. Yeah, okay, thank you. That's what I was thinking of. Okay, now it makes sense. So if there's two controllers, the first controller that turns on, the receiver syncs up with that first controller, and the second controller won't have any effect. So somebody cannot just turn on a second controller at a race with your bind phrase and knock you out of the air. It would not work like that. There would have to be a more nuanced attack. Alrighty, that's fascinating. So, Hunter, the answer to your question is model match. That's how to prevent that. I always like to make sure I actually go back and answer the question. Everyone use the same bind phrase at a race. That would be bad. Don't do that. Use a unique bind phrase. All right, cool. That was fun. That was really fun. Craziness. The bind phrase is not hashed with some unique idea of your transmitter, asks 1IFPV. No, the whole point of the bind phrase is that it is cross-transmitter. 1IFPV, do you know how many controllers on modules I have? Like 5. I review and test ExpressLRS hardware constantly. I have 2 or 3 different controllers, at least, with ExpressLRS in them, and 3 or 4 or 5 different modules. All of them have the same bind phrase, and thank God, because it means that when I want to test them, I don't have to rebind all my quadcopters to the new module. I just put the bind phrase on the module, and then they're bound. Of course it's agnostic to the hardware. That's a feature, not a bug. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. I'm not trying to flex Mike Bergman. I'm just saying, please don't say anything that would make anyone think that this needed to change, because it's wonderful the way it is. B-Man FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Tabasco sauce on eggs. Hard-boiled or egg, ham, and cheese sandwich? Yes or no? Tabasco sauce. So, B-Man FPV, I like hot sauces. Actual Tabasco sauce is probably one of my less favorite hot sauces. Here's when I'll use Tabasco sauce. When I'm in some shitty diner in the middle of nowhere, and like Waffle House. It used to be that Waffle Houses didn't have Cholula, and Waffle Houses, the only hot sauce they'd have would be Tabasco. Tabasco is a fine hot sauce. It's just not my favorite style of hot sauce. Now that nearly every place will have like Cholula is like, I think, my favorite sort of generic mass market hot sauce that's just in a lot of restaurants. That's the style that I dig. Tabasco, not my favorite. The place where I enjoy Tabasco the most is probably on like greens. Greens with Tabasco, I think, go well. I like a vinegar hot sauce sometimes, but Tabasco's okay. Hot sauce and eggs, hell yeah. Egg, ham, and cheese sandwiches, I don't know about that. Like, since B-Man brought up Tabasco sauces, I want to shout out, this is not a sponsor, plug. My wife bought me some of these, and they are amazing. These are amazing. I'm shocked at how good some of these are. Flatiron Pepper Company. They're pepper flakes, but they're mixtures of other peppers than just like generic red peppers. They're so good. They're so good. Like even this one is the I Can't Feel My Face. It's got Carolina Reaper, Scorpion Pepper, Ghost Pepper, and Habanero. Some super hot peppers, and yet by sprinkling it judiciously, you get you get some of the aggressive heat of those peppers, but only just enough. And then it's so edible. These are so good. So many different flavors, delicious. If you like hot peppers, if you like pepper flakes, I highly recommend you check this out. This is not a sponsor plug. Literally just my wife bought me some as a present, and I adore them, and I can't get enough of them. So I agree. Green Tabasco is pretty good. I like green Tabasco pretty well. Flatiron Pepper. They're so good. All right. STV Drag 225. Thank you for a $20 super chat. Big super chat. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for the quick response on the video reception on my Tiny Hawk the other day. Thank you very much for glad I was able to help. St. Kenny, thanks for a $2 super chat. Isaac Finnbogason, Iceland FPV, thank you for $12. How much heat do you think an FPV drone can fly in? I have realized they handle way more heat than I expected. Check out my latest video about the volcano. It would be epic. I mean, they could take a lot of heat. You solder on them, right? I think the props might melt, but they get a lot of airflow. I don't know. I'm not sure which, like the camera lens might melt. Let's check out Iceland. Let's check out Iceland FPV. Joshua Turner? No, that's not you. Well, unfortunately, there we go. Isaac Finnbogason. 4K subscribers. How'd he do? Let's see if he deserves more subscribers. Does he get the sub? I'm not going to play the music just in case it's licensed. Does he get the sub? I don't give just anybody a sub. I mean... damn. The fuck? Are you kidding? What? Iceland, what are you doing? Wow. No, go back. No, go back to the other thing. Jeez. Wow. Yeah. That's really something. It is bubbling like pudding. What is happening here? I know what's happening. I know what a volcano is, but I just can't really process what's happening here. That's not right. That's not right. Somebody punctured the earth. Hey, somebody put your frickin' thumb in that and close it up. That's really something. Isaac. Epic location, nice video, good color grade. I don't know if you graded this manually or if you just got lucky with the natural color. It's really striking. I feel like your edit. I mean, this is just a long cut of you flying around. So I think if I were to, improve it, I would put a little more effort into the edit. Like this right here, this is a good shot. But then when you get to the end of the shot, you're just going to turn around and go do something else. And I think if it was edited with a little more intention, I think it could have really lived up to the location more. Yeah, here, like, I'm not sure what you're doing or what's the subject right now. Oh, here we go. Now I like this. Yeah. It's pretty epic. I'm just saying, you could always kick it up a notch. Very, very nice. Very nice. Do you land? Do we see where you're standing? No. I mean, that's pretty epic. Man, that's something, man. That's something. You just go out to this volcano, huh? Be like, hey, guys, we're going to the volcano today. Who's coming? Who's coming with us? Sheesh. How's the weather today? Oh, the Earth is spewing magma. That's all. Okay. Okay, Iceland. I see you. Ethan W. I see your question, Ethan. Ethan W. says, I have an old pair of VR006 Beta FPV goggles I'm turning into an FPV screen. It came with one SMA connector, but there's a set of pads where I can add another. Can I? Ethan, that's a crapshoot, man. What are the chances that that's actually a diversity receiver and they just left off the extra antenna? I don't think it would hurt to try it. It may not help, though. Go for it. CB Runner, thanks for a $5 super chat. CB Runner, any whispers about a community-driven remote ID beacon project yet? I know ExpressLRS can't do it without an FCC ID. Sent you a long email about it. CB Runner, there's something, we went over this on the news last week. There's something from ArduPilot that is a small board. I don't know if it's community-driven. Mike Glider, that's the best answer I have for you, man. Mike Glider, thank you for a $2 super chat. I try to do it with the Ghost module, not changing. So, Mike, with the Ghost module, you have to set the change. It doesn't take immediately, I don't think. Hang on, Mike, I'm going to get my Ghost module out. Let me get my Ghost module out. Has it powered up? Hang on, I gotta load the model.
You're gonna learn some?
So you have to go to Video TX, and then after it's all changed, you go to, you can't see this, I'm sorry. You go to send, and then you joystick right, and it sends it. If you don't do send, it doesn't take. Could that be the problem? Mike Glider? See, the thing is, with a hybrid, that's it. That's the only thing it could be. The hybrid, it's not like there's wiring that could be messed up. It's one unit. Angus, thank you for a $5 super chat. Angus says, 428 people watching. Like the stream! Yeah, like the stream, you guys. There's 90 likes out of 400 people. That's actually a pretty good like ratio, frankly. Matt, thank you for a $5 super chat. To add to Jason's question, what if I get home after flying and immediately charge the packs from 3.5 to 4.2 for the next day? Will this damage them? So the longer the packs spend at full charge, the more wear they take. But honestly, don't stress about it. You're splitting hairs too fine, and it doesn't matter. You're going to destroy these batteries by using them long before you destroy them by charging them to 4.2 and leaving them overnight. If you're definitely going to fly the next day, just charge them up. Don't make your life difficult. Whoa. The number of likes just jumped to 159 from 90. We nearly doubled the number of likes just because I shouted at you. Well, I'm afraid that's bad. That's bad. You're rewarding the wrong behavior. Quad City Bay Area, thank you for a $5 super chat. How can HD0 do digital and analog and DJI and Walksnail can't? Quad City, you mean the goggles. You mean the HD0 goggles will have an analog input. Like any marketing and engineering decision, they could have... Well, hang on. Wait. Whoa. Back up. DJI can do analog. It's got an AV input. So actually, hold on. A DJI can do digital and analog. That's what the BDI Digidapter is. You put a module on front of your on the front of your freaking goggles, and you use analog. So it does work. It doesn't work great, but it does work. Walksnail could have done it, but they decided not to, for engineering, cost, size, weight, marketing reasons. It's not that they can't. They just didn't. They could have. They just didn't. And if you want to know why they didn't, I interviewed Greg French, and before the goggles released, I interviewed Greg French, and he said, analog. He said digital only, no analog module, no analog input. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Some people will be annoyed about that. And he was like, yeah, they probably already have analog goggles, so we're not. He's like, digital's the future. Analog, F analog, basically was his perspective. That's not a direct quote. That's how I interpret his perspective. So yeah, they could have, they just didn't. Steve E, thank you for a $3 super chat. Steve says I should have done that test with a 5-inch where I flew all those quadcopters at once. Yeah, no. There was a Rotoride episode where we did something like that. It was pretty entertaining. Okay. I'm caught up on super chats. Fantastic. Fantastic. Let's see here. Cyber Overkill. Cyber Overkill's got a question. Cyber Overkill says, why does my Mobula 6 work fine with a 300 milliamp hour Race Day Quad 1S, but not a 380 milliamp hour Race Day Quad 1S? The flight controller turns off and restarts with more than 10% throttle. On the 300, it's just fine. Cyber, I'm going to give you a guess. I want you to know it's not a good guess, but it's my best guess. There's something wrong with the flight controller or the ESC. Well, those are the same thing. The higher voltage of the larger battery. Wait, back up. They're both 1S batteries. Why would one have a higher voltage than the other? Because the 300 milliamp hour battery sags more when you hit the throttle. So the voltage that the flight controller sees is lower. The 380, being a bigger battery, sags less, and something about that higher voltage makes the flight controller freak out and reset. The bottom line is, if the flight controller resets with 10% throttle, I think the flight controller must be defective, right? You should be able to fly a Mobula 6 on a 380 milliamp hour battery. It's heavy. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but it shouldn't reset. And I would want someone to explain to me why my brand new quadcopter didn't fly. So it happens on 2 separate Mobula 6. Maybe it's an issue with the Happy Model flight controller. Can you try another 380 milliamp hour battery? Try another big battery. Alan Rugg, thank you for a $5 super chat. Just got a DJI V2 and your perfect HD kit. Do you run a fat strap, and which foam to fix the light leakage? Yeah, I'll show you. If we go over to fpvknowitall.com, which is my website, fpvknowitall.com, I'll put that in the chat. There is a page here about, by the way, we're revamping this page to include all the other HD systems as well. It's almost ready to launch. I realize that this is kind of out of date to only talk about DJI on this page. So please know that we're working on that. I have suggestions here, though, for accessories, including the exact foam that I use. It's right here. And I do run a fat strap, and I like a fat strap on my DJI goggles. So, check that out. I don't know why the 380 would sag out. I don't know why it would sag out so much that the whole flight controller turns off. That seems iffy. I don't think that doesn't seem likely to me. It would have to go all the way from full charge to 3.0 volts just by touching the throttle. That's not normal. I mean, the battery could be damaged, but I think he's tried it with 2 different batteries. Have you tried multiple batteries? You could, if it's the same battery, then you have a bad battery. If it's all 380 milliamp hour packs, then that's something else. Different batteries, different quads. So it's not just one bad battery. All right. What else have we got? What else have we got? Is it a good time to plug my Patreon? Is it a good time for that? Nobody's asking questions. I'm caught up on super chats. Nobody's asked a question. Oh, here in the Discord, they're saying I should plug my Patreon. Do you guys like the content that I make? No, you suck. Okay, good. Why are you here? I mean, I'm glad you're here. Never mind. Do you guys like the content that I make? Do you want me to be able to keep making it? Or do you want me to have to start doing a bunch of consulting gigs and working on film sets like Vanover, except much, much of a worse pilot? Do you think I would make it? Let me ask you this. Hang on. Let's be real. Do you think I would make it if I was working for Michael Bay like Vanover does? Do you think I would make it in Hollywood? Not only do I not have the skill as a pilot to do the kind of things that Vanover, Johnny FPV, Evan Turner, all these, and Paul Nurkla, not only am I not qualified to fly the drones they fly and get the shots they get, I would just not really make it on they'd be like, hey, where's Bardwell? Looking for me. I'd be answering emails, answering questions from you guys. Oh, you need me to fly? No, none of us want that. You don't want me to have to go get a real job. You want me here. You need me here. You need me up on this wall. Making videos so you can fix your quads. And learn about Betaflight and Express LRS and all that BS. And if you feel that way, go join my Patreon. Go join my Patreon so I don't have to get a real job and can keep making videos for you. Patreon's a website. You sign up and you support me for as little as $2 a month. Come on. Or more if you feel like I've earned it. Some people subscribed at $200 a month. I don't know why. Shh. I assume they just forgot that they did it or it was a prank. Don't tell them. The amount is totally up to you. And you can stop whenever you want. And, just a good way to support me. Okay. Link in the video description below or here in chat. What am I talking? You guys are all patrons anyway, right? Well, anyways. Can you make crash recovery return something on telemetry? I want to make my controller go bonk instead of beep. I don't think so, Black Jungle. That's clever, but I don't think it works that way today. Bugs FPV wants to know. Bugs FPV says, I built a Synolog 2.5 with Vista and the Mamba 35 all-in-one with Blue Jay, flashed and a 1404 4600 Zing motor. If I turn my first gyro low-pass filter off, I get throttle. Oh my goodness, throttle bursts in my motor. Excuse me, I have the hiccups now. Well, don't do that, man. I mean, first of all, you're using RPM filtering, I assume. Not every quad, especially a Cinewhoop with like a plastic frame, not every quad is going to be able to turn the gyro filter off. So like either improve the mechanical characteristics of your quad so that you have less vibration, or accept that you have to have that much filtering on your gyro. Yeah, that's the takeaway. New to FPV, thanks for $5 Canadian. I spend more time watching your videos than with my family. Ouch. I spend more time making my videos than with my family. So, I spend a lot of time with my family. Aber the Ham points out, once you become your own boss, it'd probably be pretty difficult to take shit from a boss again. That is way closer to the truth. Clara Colden, very good question. I have bought a pair of SkyZone 04L goggles, and I'm wondering if it's even worth running the new Walksnail VRX on them. Is the resolution good enough? Yeah, good question. The SkyZone 04L actually have pretty good resolution, don't they? I think they do. I think they have pretty good resolution. Well, what's the resolution on these goggles? Yeah, 1280 by 960. So, like, that'll do 720p, right? Yeah, because 720p is 1280 by 720. 1280 by 960 is 720p resolution, but 4:3 aspect ratio. So, that will 100% do a 720p letterbox image with no degradation. So I mean, there may be other reasons why that would not be the ideal Walksnail experience, but then why? Sakaris FPV wants to know, what baud rate should I put for the external module in TX16S? Sakaris, raise the baud rate to 5.25 megabits per second. And if you see error frames, it'll show the number of error frames. If you see the error frame counter going up, then lower it. Oh, there it was. There it was. Look. It reset. We had a dropout. I almost made it through the entire live stream. We had a dropout. Sakaris, did you hear my answer about the baud rate? Raise the baud rate to 5.25 megabaud, and then if you have error frames, which will show up right there in the menu, you'll see the number of error frames. Then you lower it. I think it's the first one. That's why I put the drop frame counter up there, to show when my connection thinks that it dropped. Have you ever done a tuning vid using black box logs? All the other videos require more brain power than I can dedicate. Cosine Kid, look up the basement PID tuning technique by Brian White. The Basement Pid Tune by Bryant White. There have been several versions of this, so look for the most recent video because he did an updated version. Yeah. Well, apparently I've had two. People are saying I've had two dropouts. Well, I didn't notice the first one, so that's good. Alrighty. Is having some error for baud rate normal? 0M3N, normally I see a small number of errors, but as long as they are not going up, I think it's probably okay. And as long as it's a small number. I think there's a little bit of errors, like maybe when the module first powers up or something. I don't know. Flyin' Ryan, did SkyZone close down their website? SkyZoneHobby.cn. Their website's not closed. I think you are probably looking at the wrong website. Timothy asks, my Mamba Ultra VTX go up above 400 milliwatt. What could be the problem? Timothy, there's some part of this question that I'm not getting, because the Mamba Ultra should go up above 400 milliwatts. Are you saying it won't go above 400 milliwatts? Is it worth it to soft mount motors? No. Short version, no. It doesn't go above 400 milliwatts. Timothy, the first thing I would check is your VTX table in the video transmitter tab. Make sure you've loaded the correct VTX table for the Mamba Ultra. And also, how 661 FPV is a good question. How are you measuring the milliwatt to know that it won't go above 400? Can a tethered drone need FAA approval? Shaky Mike's Adventures asks. No, a tethered aircraft is not an SUAS. It's not an SUAS. There may be FAA regulations pertaining to tethered flying objects like kites and weather balloons or whatever. So I don't know about that, but it's not an SUAS. If it's tethered, it is not regulated as an SUAS. Let's see. Unmanned Sky, any word on getting Edge TX on the Tango 2? No. The Edge TX, my recollection is that TBS will not make the necessary code available to the developers to let the Edge TX developers flash Edge TX directly to the Tango 2 and the Mambo. Instead, what TBS wants to do is TBS will adapt the Edge TX code, and TBS will distribute their custom version of the Edge TX code through TBS Agent. The problem with this is that TBS has been very busy with a bunch of things and has not been developing quickly, and as a result, there's been this huge window of time where Edge TX is not available, and people are using this version of Freedom TX that maybe is missing some features that they wish it had. At the very least, it sucks for users that TBS is the bottleneck. The Edge TX devs are kicking ass and doing amazing things, and the users of these radios were told when they bought them, God, it must be 2 years now, maybe more. I don't know when the Tango 2 first came out. The users of these radios were told when they bought them, they run Freedom TX today, but they will run Edge TX later. It just hasn't happened yet. And everybody assumed when that was said, at least I did, I think other people did too, we assumed that that meant that Freedom TX would go away and OpenTX or EdgeTX, which came out of OpenTX, would be flashed to the radios, and TBS would no longer be this bottleneck where we have to wait for them to develop the code and distribute the code. Okay, so first of all, not even that has happened yet. Currently, Freedom TX just is what it is. I don't know when the last time it was updated. I really haven't looked. Maybe it's been updated and I missed it. But as far as I know, TBS is well, let's just look. Let's just look. Let's just look and not talk out our ass. So this is 1,971 commits behind OpenTX 2.3. There are no releases. There are no releases. It's not forked off of EdgeTX. It's forked off of OpenTX. And how do I tell how far behind it is? The last commit, Jesus Christ, the last commit was on June 2020. Well, that's all you need to know. The last commit from this repo was June 2020. People who are experts on GitHub, am I missing something? Does that mean that this hasn't been updated since June 2020? Let's go look. Hang on. I got a better idea. Let's plug in Tango 2.
Welcome to Tango 2.
Thank you.
Switch warning.
Oh, switch warning, you don't say. Oh, okay. Plug her in and let's look. USB agent. Tango 2, Freedom TX, firmware 124. Let's see if we can update. 134. Okay, this is better. Okay, that's out of date. So the last time that there was a commit to their public repo was June 2020. So where is all this code being developed? I don't know. Fine. March 18th, 2022. Still a pretty freaking long time ago. Hasn't had an update since March 2022. How's EdgeTX doing? Don't even look. Let's see, release notes. A few bug fixes. Release notes. A couple more bug fixes. Small features. Change the startup logo. Fix Mambo telemetry issue. Fix telemetry. Oh, some more bug fixes. So basically, bug fixes. No updates since March. Whereas, if they had opened up the bootloader, the EdgeTX devs could have been developing this code, and the users of this radio would be up to date with the latest, instead of waiting for TBS to do whatever they need to do. I know that TBS has gone through some shit. I know that 2 of their developers lived in Ukraine and were displaced by the war. I know that they moved buildings, and I heard some stories, I don't know if they were true, about the circumstances under which they moved the buildings being disruptive. I'm not trying to say anything negative about TBS, but at the end of the day, if you're a customer who bought this radio with the expectation that you will be able to run OpenTX on it, I would be annoyed that they hadn't made it possible for, and they don't want people running third-party code is my guess as to why they won't open up the bootloader. But no is the answer. You cannot run EdgeTX on this radio, and you can barely run an up-to-date version of OpenTX because it was last updated on March of 2022, and it's now November. So, okay. It is 10 p.m. It is 10 p.m. and that means my live stream's over. I got a couple more super chats before I turn it over to Ciati. Squirrely, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm going to start asking anything I'm even remotely confused on, no matter how basic. What is baud rate? And what's the difference between rates and PIDs? Okay, baud rate is the speed of digital communication between two electronic devices. In this case, the baud rate we were talking about is the speed that the radio talks to the module. A faster baud rate lets you transmit more data in the same amount of time. When you have a protocol like ExpressLRS that needs to that wants to go at 500 hertz, 500 packets per second, you need a faster baud rate to carry that information. Rates versus PIDs. PIDs is the flight controller trying to make the quadcopter do what the sticks are telling it. Rates is how fast the sticks are telling the quadcopter to move. If you want to know more about rates, can I suggest that you check out this video? I turned beta flight rates to max and learned something profound. Okay? This video is a great insight into what rates are. So I suggest you check that out. Aber the Ham, thank you for a $5 super chat. Please tell Ciati to send it when you sign off and hand over to him. He loves it when people say send it. Okay, well, for you, man, just for you. Let's see. Ciati, have you started posting a link to your stream? Yes, he has. Okay, everybody go watch Ciati's stream. And Ciati, send it! Send it, Ciati!